So, Tower of God, I'm going to talk about Rachel today. So, just to hop right into it, obviously there's a lot of question marks about Rachel. How did she become the person she is? How did she go about? How is she someone that knows so much about Bam's history without being directly involved? She tried to steal pretty much his birthright. He tried to steal his fate, and it's still ongoing. She loves that Bam is constantly, well, I don't believe it, but in her eyes, the way that because she sees the world revolving around her, in her eyes, Bam is chasing her. She's still, like, other people still have a step up, they still have a step ahead on certain things, but she is the end all be all. So, to talk about it, because I've seen a few different options that people said that Rachel could be, like, she could be Arlene's maid, she could be a wiped Arlene, like memory wiped Arlene, things like that. The most promising venture of what it could be that I heard of, that I endorse, and I haven't heard too many people saying this, is that Rachel is not Arlene at all. And the reason that Rachel has so much information, not only just of, like, Bam, but also of the 13-month weapons, of the Rings of Jahad, I fully believe that Rachel is a fragment of Jahad. Just like how Wang Nan, just like Karaka, just like that person that just showed up that came from the Red Light District that's in charge of that army. I believe, sorry, some asshole almost just caused an accident because they wanted to jump out for no fucking reason. Yeah, I fully believe that Rachel is a part of Jahad. Now, when I say that, I say that because every single family leader within Tower of God has their own kind of quirky way that they make themselves into their version of an absolute being. So, for Gustang, as an example, he has the library where he separates his memories, those consciousness of things that he does not want to be associated with, or things that doesn't align with his credence. For Traumaray, I know I'm butchering how I say his name, but yeah, for Traumaray, I'm still not gonna get used to that. It doesn't matter. He's dead now. Oh, spoilers. Ooh. But for Traumaray, he would take his emotions and put them into creatures, because he was someone that was deeply into developing and advancing the different kinds of species and genus that were located throughout the tower. So for Jahad, what I think he did, and I'll go into this more, I think he separated parts of his consciousness into different entities, because it has been said, it's been recorded that Jahad disposed of himself in the Red Light District. So that's why I believe this, because there is still, for some reason, a Jahad, or at least from what they make it seem to be, because they never really detail his surroundings, that there is a Jahad outside of the Red Light District as well as one inside of the Red Light District. And not only just that, there's all these characters and individuals that have characteristics and like features that make them look like Jahad. And not only that, it's been noted in the series And this is part of the reason for the 13-month weapons, is that he was originally in love with Arlene, and Arlene chose Viole, Bam's dad, over Jihad. And that's where I think the main portion of the distaste and the rivalry that Jihad has towards Bam and Viole comes from, is that he really wanted to be with Arlene and he could not be with her. Like, the one thing I genuinely believe this is why, seriously why, Jihad gave up on climbing the tower. Because just like everybody else in the series, you kind of notice as they continue to climb, as they continue to escalate, like who they are as a person, their goals, what they're striving for start to change over time. And that's what I think happened with Viole, with Jihad, with the others of the 10 family leaders, is that they got to a point of climbing the tower where they were just too egotistic. And they kind of touch on this in some of the backstories, like especially with Khun, the Khun family leader. Very, very arrogant individual. Like, now, their current self, probably a very poised, very calm individual, but the person ripe with personality that's in the past, in the flashbacks, is very arrogant. He's very egotistic and narcissistic, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's him as a character. But it just shows that in the past, while they were still climbing the tower, they were imperfect beings. They saw themselves as imperfect. Like, they might have been the first ones to the Hell Train, to those floors, to do a lot of these things, but they weren't the only ones. There's a reason why there's what we call rankers. These are people who get to the 100th floor, or people that pass the 100th floor, and they are deemed a ranker. They're deemed worthy of special credence, to where they can take jobs inside the tower at certain things. They can be level administrators, because that was part of the deal that the family heads had with the administration, is that they would take over administering tests. Now, for individuals like Bam, for family heads, they're not required to continue doing the administered tests from the leaders. They can just straight up call the administrator and ask to take the regular administrative test, which in some circumstances, well, in most circumstances, is a lot fucking harder. Way fucking harder. So if you think about it, sure, there's people that are considered rankers and all this, but that is a very dumbed down version of the same test. Because if we look at the test that Bam had to do to enter the tower, just straight up enter the tower, he had to kill a silverfish. That one silverfish was giving high rankers trouble. That was giving high rankers difficulty. Like, people had to party up and strategize to try and come at this. Yuri was strategizing to take on the fish. I don't remember, I can't recall if they mentioned that she had bested that floor's test administrator, because it's an administrator that does the test. But it's implied that they have not. So the fact that was Bam's entry test, the letting him in the fucking tower. Same with Rachel. She got offered that same test because she tried to steal Bam's spot. So, coming back to topic, what I feel is the backstory for Rachel is that she is the part of Jihad that was in love with Arlene. So that's also why she loosely looks the way she does, because she must take on physical similarities partially to Arlene, even though she's not of her blood or anything, because these are the parts of Jihad that were, in his eyes, bound to her, that could not be to anyone else. It loosely picked up her appearance, even though she still has the yellow hair, still has the freckles, still has the eyes that look of Jihad. So those are the things that make me believe that. Now, that being said, the knowledge that she has on the 13 months on the rings, that also leads to support that fact, because not even the family leaders have an idea of what the rings are and what they do. The only people that actually physically know what those rings do are Rachel, Karaka, Wang Nan, kind of, but there's almost nobody that knows what these rings do. So that is, that's just my cup of tea. Thank you for sitting down with me, talking about Tower of God, conspiracy theories and lore. Again, we touching on how Rachel is not related to Arlene and Bam or anything like that at all, and is actually a piece of Jihad. Now, another piece of evidence that leans onto this is that Arlene hates Bam with a passion. She was always helping Bam before they entered the tower, but I think that was with the goal of stealing his opportunity, because she knew from the very beginning how powerful, how important that Bam was. So she was there, ready. She would come by all the time. She hated being with him. She hated playing with him, but she has all this knowledge about him. And I think that's due to this backstory and history that she has as being a part of Jihad. So when they showed that like treasure stingray that Gusto borrowed to Rachel, taking up those pieces, the piece of the watch or whatever that bracelet is, that bracelet I think is the physical key. So just like how Traumaray had like his beast that he comparted his emotions into, I think that bracelet, that armband, is what, like, there's a lot of powers. Gusto explained it. There's a lot of stuff that it does for you, but I think the most important power that bracelet has is that was the item that was used to separate the pieces of consciousness from Zahad, for him to break off into all these different entities. Because we have at least 3 or 4 people that are confirmed that well, not fully confirmed, but 4 people that look eerily similar to Jihad, but he doesn't have kids. Does this starting to click?